Okay, we should be live here.
We are live. It says about
There we
eight
go.
seconds now.
Yeah. All 2.8 million people will have to catch up with us later, right?
I know. I'm sure. I'm sure.
Yeah.
They'll
Well,
find out that they don't have to listen to Benny or to the rest of the guys right now. They can listen to us.
yeah. Well, a lot of people take Sunday off, and they don't, go
Yeah.
live and so forth. But I just, from habit, I start looking through some of the hearings and things that are going on with Trump, and then sometimes my feathers get a little ruffled. I get a little upset, and of course, like I told you, it was Elizabeth Warren was talking about Trump raising the taxes and so forth. So,
Yeah.
and for the rich, they say, but I want to kind of play this, start and stop it, and we'll just kind of talk about it because in my line of business, I did a lot of research on advertising techniques and so forth. There's a lot of things that the government has taken from commercial businesses as far as advertising, and they've applied it. They've applied it to how they do things, how they
Yeah.
scare the Americans, how they get people upset, or they get people mad about something, or they get them to jump on a bandwagon. So those are all techniques, advertisement techniques that, of course, politicians have perfected, you might say. But in her speech, you could just pick all this stuff out. But let's go to it. See what.
Yeah.
Hang on.
As president again, one of the first policy issues that the new Congress will face is taxes, which is the topic for today's hearing. Tax policy in 2025, implications for the U.S. economy and American workers. Donald Trump and congressional Republicans have made perfectly clear that they are planning another huge tax giveaway to billionaires and billionaire corporations. Donald Trump said it out loud on the campaign trail. Big tax cuts will be a payoff for his rich as hell donors.
Well, I don't know he exactly said it that way, but
no, he didn't.
When they say giveaway, well, he said a tax cut way back in. Well, I guess it's going to expire in 2025, something like that. Anyway,
Yeah.
So it's going to have to be re-looked at, basically. But Donald Trump understands big business and how it helps businesses, giving them breaks and so forth, and it helps business continue on, or maybe they can pass those savings on to the consumer. There's a lot of ways of making it better. Business policy for them through tax cuts. Well, let's let her talk here.
Now, this isn't our first time around on tax giveaways to the wealthy. In 2017, Donald Trump had only one major legislative achievement, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. This $2 trillion tax scam gave away trillions in tax cuts to billionaires and billionaire corporations. The law literally gave away money that otherwise would have come in to keep our country running. The impact.
Yeah, that's the part that really gets me. Notice she used the little keyword scam. That's to, give it a, impression of something, is not on the up and up. But the thing about tax cuts, she doesn't talk about how it helps the economy. She's trying to take that displaced money and put it somewhere else, and then make people feel like they're being robbed. But anyway,
well, one of the things too that she does,
that Trump tax cut.
Go ahead.
One of the things too that she's starting to spout off about is, because the offering was out there, did not necessarily mean that those big moguls took advantage of it. Because, there's two ways. If you've ever done taxes, I've had some back in my past, I've had some good years. And some of us had said, well, as opposed to giving the money in taxes back to the government, I'll just donate $100,000 to this charity or that charity, and the government's not going to get any. Exactly. In other words, what she's trying to do is she's trying to twist things around. In other words, she's using her own spin on this. And it's just the point of even though it's might be on their table, and it's the same thing when they talk about tariffs. The tariffs, hey, point blank, they're going to bring business back to America. It's going to happen. Or people, corporations that were going to be building, even Elon Musk is one of them. He's supposedly building a factory in Mexico right now. But I guess it was put on a hiatus a couple months ago because he doesn't want to pay for that factory when it's going to be built in America. So these are some of the things too. But she's just trying to spin off as a typical liberal. This is basically the way they talk.
Yeah. Okay, let's let her.
For billionaires and billionaire corporations alone would have been big enough to build 3 million new homes and lower rents by 10% nationwide, to cut child care costs for most families to $10 a day, and to invest in paid leave for all Americans.
This is where they get all the below average and maybe people struggling to go, yeah, and get behind them over this situation. But you know what?
Yeah.
If they collected those taxes, would they be putting it into homes? Would they be putting it into all the things that she's saying? No.
Oh, the last 4 years.
They're just using that comparison to get people riled up. Yeah.
She's had 4 years to do it. Why didn't they done it in 4 years?
Instead, the money went to billionaires and billionaire corporations. In fact, the Trump tax cut for billionaires was so gigantic that Republicans used a bunch of accounting gimmicks to try to hide the full cost. But those gimmicks and some of those tax cuts as a result will expire at the end of 2025. And this is the reason that Republicans are pushing for a new tax law. Without a change in the tax laws, many of those Trump giveaways to billionaires and billionaire corporations will simply disappear. So Trump and his allies are writing.
Remember, it's not a giveaway. He's not giving anything away. He's just letting them keep some of their money. So, but we'll get into percentages and corporate profit margins in a minute after she gets done.
To the rescue. According to an estimate from the Congressional Budget Office and Joint Committee on Taxation, Republican plans to extend their tax giveaways to the rich will cost a whopping $4.5 trillion. And that is before Trump added in a few trillion more in extra goodies. $4.5 trillion and counting. The number is huge because tax cuts for rich people are actually unpopular in this country. Republicans are hoping to do this very quietly so that no one except their billionaire friends will notice what's going on. This will be a challenge. The last time that Trump and the congressional Republicans cut taxes, Americans did notice. They noticed, and they hated Trump's billionaire tax cuts. His billionaire tax cut.
Who hated? Maybe just some of the Democrats.
Were more unpopular than any tax reform bill since Ronald Reagan. Trump's billionaire tax cuts were even more unpopular than the tax increases under Bill Clinton and George H.W. Bush. When Trump's billionaire tax cuts passed, his approval rating dropped like a rock. The reason Trump's billionaire tax cuts is so unpopular is that voters want billionaires and big businesses to pay their fair share toward making our country run. Republicans thought they could cover up their giveaways to billionaires and billionaire corporations by a few tax cuts to working families. But that is the wrong approach. Tax cuts for working families are a good idea, but tax cuts for working people are not tied to tax cuts for billionaires. We can have one without the other, and we should say it loud and clear. Billionaires don't need handouts from the federal government, period.
No.
Which brings us back to the tax fight barreling toward us. President-elect Trump has proposed making every single 2017 tax cut for the wealthy permanent. In fact, he plans to go further by cutting the corporate tax rate even more so that giant corporations making record profits off struggling Americans can shovel even more.
Real quick, Now, she also said that he said it right out in his campaign. So if this were true about what she's saying about how everybody hated it and then he lost popularity, then how did he end up winning the election? You know, that, some of this stuff just doesn't hold water.
Cash
David,
to their
nothing but
rich
spin.
executives and shareholders. Make no mistake, hardworking Americans will foot the bill for tax cuts for Trump's wealthy donors. A recent analysis of President-elect Trump's tax proposals by the Institute on Taxation and Economic Policy found that the top 1% would get an average tax cut of over $36,000, while the bottom 95% of taxpayers would see a tax increase. Both Project 2025 and Trump himself have laid out Republican plans to pay for their next tax giveaway to billionaires. They are planning for higher taxes on everyday items that families buy, like groceries and gas and clothing and so on. They also plan to pay for the
Really? Do you believe that, John?
That's hard.
After what we've been through? Isn't it
Yeah,
already apparent?
Well, basically, Dave, what the liberals, I prefer not to call them Democrats anymore, because we really don't have a Republican and a Democrat party anymore. We've got some
Right.
Democrats and we have some Republicans, but we also have rhinos, and they're mostly on the other side of the aisle, is basically nothing more than liberals. What they say is something that they've already done or they're already going to do. They come right out and tell us everything that they're going to do, and they blame it on us. But with her, I mean, you have to take a look at the last 4 years. It's been absolutely astounding, the stock markets, how they've had record highs. And who you think on this last 4 years has been making all those billions and trillions of dollars? You're talking about BlackRock. You're talking about these probably Democrat donors. I mean, you can talk about all the Elon Musk you want, but you're talking about the top 3 or 4 are Democrat-run organizations. And I'm telling you, they've been the ones be cleaning house on everything.
tax cuts for billionaires by cutting programs like Social Security and Head Start. They also plan to cut investments that grow our economy and support good jobs, like roads and bridges and medical research. Those aren't tax changes that will help working families. Americans across the country, of course, are from every political party, and they are demanding a tax code that works for them. People want Congress to raise taxes on giant corporations that are raking in record profits. People want Congress to close the loopholes that let billionaires like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk pay zero in taxes. And people want Congress to fully fund the IRS so that it has the resources to catch wealthy tax cheats and make them pay what they owe. The tax fight is starting now. And every person in the United States needs to show, every person in the Senate needs to show the American people what side we stand on. Will we sign our names to more giveaways to President-elect Trump's billionaire buddies, or will we fight for tax fairness for the American people? So I appreciate our panel joining us today to share their expertise. The upcoming tax decisions are critical to the financial security of working people, and we appreciate your being here with us to highlight the impact of those decisions. So I'm going to introduce the witnesses we have today.
So this is almost the end here.
Yeah.
You know, let me go back to this other mode here. You know, I looked up some of the big people as far as big corporations and so forth. Of course, you know, you think of Elon Musk. Okay, he's one of the biggest ones, and you check out maybe the what SpaceX. Let's for example.
Yeah, SpaceX.
Let's see. SpaceX. Let me scroll down. You can't see this. This is my notes. Okay, so they employ 12 to 15,000 people as of 2024, and out of that, the the average salary is around 92,000. But it's a wide range too, because like if you get people down on the lower end, technicians and that kind of stuff, anywhere from 40 to 70,000. The engineers anywhere from 95 to 175,000. Where some of the senior roles, up there in the company, 220,000. And you think about that with the numbers of people he has employed, and then you look at Tesla. Tesla, he employs 140,000 people plus worldwide, right? All sorts of factories all over the place. But when you take all their incomes and average it, they average about 99,000, almost $100,000 a year for all those people. That's a lot of money, and that's a lot of people working, and that's a lot of money going back into other things that people buy. That helps the economy. Probably 104,000 of those people are right here in the United States, and a big portion of them are right in Texas. So, and then you say, okay, well, what about Twitter? Well, it has about 1,000 employees. Well, it used to be about 7,800 employees, but now it's down to about 1,000 employees. But get this, these people make anywhere starting 121,000 to 146,000 per year, depending on their level. So I just thought I would mention that. So that's all this money going back into the economy through people that he puts to work. Not to mention all the other, supporting companies that are tied in and have contracts with all these companies that he runs. And then you think, well, what's the average markup on a lot of big companies? You look at Walmart, and then they're working on a 35 to 40% markup, right? But you look up Elon Musk's SpaceX, and it works on a 15%.
A lot of these. Here's one of the things too that the Democrats are really good at. They're definitely good at is look over here, look over here, look at this, look at this, look at this. When what they're doing here is, I cannot get away from. I don't have the figures in front of me right now, but if you go and look through the past 5 to 6 presidents, minus of course Donald Trump because he was a billionaire, you'll start to see that when they got into office, within a couple of years, they've gone from being worth maybe $800,000 or maybe $1.2 million to being worth $12 to $20 million. I mean, that's just a small amount. Where in the hell are they getting all this money from? They can't be selling that many books. And we all know what's going on. It's just like Nancy Pelosi. She's got to be the most flagrant one of all. They're getting all these insider trader deals. And the big thing, what Elon Musk has said that they're going to start to do is they're going to work on the lobbyists. This is where the graft is coming from. This is where our country's been torn apart. People want to get into the politics, not because they really want to help the country. It's because they want to help their own pockets. And this is what's going on. So people like Elizabeth Warren and Nancy Pelosi and the rest, they don't want the public to know, hey, look, if you get into office, you can have so-and-so come over from John Deere Tractors, and even they don't have tractors, but they'll give you a brand new Mercedes-Benz 500 SL to drive for the next 5 years, and they'll replace it for you. So in other words, but you don't have to buy it, so it won't show up in your records, but it'll just be a lease vehicle to you. I mean, what do you care? I mean, there's all sorts of the meals that you get, the vacations they give. These are all worth tens of thousands of dollars. And it's just part of the program that they've been doing. They don't want Trump in there. And that's basically because they're going to all suffer for this. And especially Matt Gaetz, because Matt Gaetz, he's young and he's already a multimillionaire because of his family. And they really did not want him in there. They're going to slaughter and slander anybody they can, but it's not working anymore because the public, we're kind of wore out from all that. We're wore out. We know what's going on.
Yep. Well, and then here's a good example. Remember when Newsom said he was going to go out and he was going to make the oil companies pay for gouging the public and so forth? well, this little article says this is a lesson on how to kill a state. But what I'm getting at is he tried a campaign. So like, hey, I'm going out there doing this for you guys, and we're going to go after these oil companies. Well, what ended up happening is after they were all said and done, all the smoke cleared, they raised the taxes on fuel at the pump to pay for some other things, and slowly over the next 6 years, fuel is the gas tax is going to exceed $2 a gallon. It's already 40 to 50 cents, maybe closer to 60 now, because things are per gallon. It just keeps building up. It's set up to, like, each year a certain percentage goes back onto it. So by the time 5 or 6 years are up, it'll be $2 a gallon. So this is all the push to get people to go to electric cars, which of course then they'd have to raise the taxes because they need to figure out how to create enough power for the power grid so that they can operate all and charge all these cars. Yeah.
Well, California's going to have their own problems too, because these quote unquote Democrat-run states like New York with Hochul, and California and Michigan and Colorado, so on and so forth, they're going to run into some big problems because Trump is going to be he wants these illegals out, and they've already vowed to fight him. Do you think for 1 minute that they start to fight him, they're not going to need a lot of money for their own resources, for their own National Guard? And where do they usually get that money from? The Fed. And Trump will not give them one single penny. So I mean, they're just trying. They're still not giving up on this game that they've been playing. And I got to admit, they almost got us. They almost got us. But things are on the other hand right now. When you have the legal system, which is, like I said, everything else is going to switch over January 20th. But I have one other thing too I want to pop in on, Dave. One of the problems we talked about with the lobbyists is when some of the sickening $1 trillion bills that are going out, which they wouldn't let us read or hear about all of them. This is some of the ones. I just happen to have a couple of these from a video I put out last week. They've got $750,000 earmarked for the New York Metropolitan Opera alarm system. I just said the alarm system. I thought they were going to rebuild the whole thing with that kind of money. $660,000 study on Russian COVID on Russian women. Who the hell cares about Russian women? Let them do their own study on their own people. Then you've got another one here for $400,000 to study how to talk to people about climate change. Duh. Really? Another one, $200,000 to make monkeys, to infect monkeys with HIV to be able to study transgender. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Transgenders. I mean, these are just some of them. And there literally are billions of dollars each year that our wonderful senators like Warren, that she's passed on, and other congressmen said, like, oh, I'll sign this bill here and sign that bill there. They're nothing but yes people. They're there for one reason and one reason only, to satisfy the lobbyists, what they're supposed to do. And this is what they're trying to do now, is trying to get rid of all these people. I mean, the ones some you can't, but they're not going to be able to get through. And like I said, just hopefully we can get more people to have a stronger Senate and a stronger Congress. And they're not going to be able to get anything through anymore, which is fantastic. But I mean, so what if you give the billionaires, I should say, a little extra leeway, and they're going to spend it in the right places? That's fine. If they don't spend it in the right places, then you put amendments on it to rethink it and say, okay, well, they didn't put the money where we were hoping they were, and you can go back on it.
Yeah. Well, one of the other things I've noticed too, like there's kind of a calming, around where people have really kind of calmed down since the election. Like, I've had some people, send me texts like, you know what, I just feel so relaxed. I don't feel so on edge, and it's like the election really meant a lot to them. And now that, Trump actually won the election, they're kind of like, they're like, oh my goodness, okay, like this burden has been taken off. And then, of course, I know that on the other side, they're probably feeling everything that we felt on the last election. As a matter of fact, they're all coming out and saying, oh, it was stolen. The numbers were manipulated through Elon Musk's Starlink. I mean, come on, all that is an internet connection. But anyway, all these little things that they're doing, which actually we could just go right back and say, hey, are you guys election deniers? I mean, we were called that for 4 years, Matter of fact, we got censored for raising a fuss about it. YouTube would shut you down if you started talking about election fraud.
I had a channel taken because of that.
Oh yeah. I mean, and then people are saying, oh well, fascism. When you can't speak out about your government and so forth. Well, wait a minute, that's what they did to us for 4 years. I mean, sure, YouTube and other ones have lightened up because it wasn't right in the election cycle at that moment, but. I mean, even right now, that people are getting strikes for stuff that are really not harmful, but they call it harmful. They're trying to keep people safe. I don't know. How do you keep people safe? When I grew up, my parents would say, when I'd go home, hey, so-and-so called me a name. My parents would say, recite this. Sticks and stones will break my bones.
The names will never hurt me.
But the wisdom in just that statement alone speaks volumes of how much our society has changed. Where now words can put you in jail. Words can get you
in jail for a long time.
Oh, even the people over in Germany right now are having a real tough time because they're not allowed to speak out, and people go to jail for talking against their government. So, if you want to live in a free world, you have to have freedom of speech. And you just got to be able to say, you know what, that's your opinion and you call me a name, that's fine, and walk away. But there's that fine line when you start saying, oh, defamation of character and all this, so like, well, where's that line of what's too far? And, I think if it becomes violent threats, then that's something different. But
I agree with you on that, Dave. But the other thing too the thing that I think what you're trying to get at also too is something that we used to have once upon a time called common sense. I've noticed like lately, people are like with cuss words. People are getting way out of line that they were 30, 20, 30, 40 years ago. The F-bomb seems like people will drop that word, the F-bomb. I mean, it's just not, hey, I use it too, but it just depends upon where you're at situation. It basically is a locker room word, which a lot of cuss words are. It's for, when you're with the guys, right. And of course nowadays with some of the gals. But it's the point of common sense. We just seem to lack it. And even then, manners. I was watching the other day when my wife went to the supermarket, and they have a door that opens and closes, a hand open door, but they usually leave it wide open. And I was just watching to see, because I was sitting in the car, how many people would help by opening the doors up for somebody else, somebody older or for a woman or whatever. Almost nobody did it. Almost nobody did it.
Yeah.
I mean,
just old time. Well, I can't really say that because now I'm in Texas, and I literally had a gal open the door for me because I looked old and elderly. But I'm like, wow, thank you, it's no problem, and but so I can't really say it's totally dead because there's still some youngsters, and I see a lot more young, like in their 20s, paying attention to what's going on than I did 4 years ago. 4 years ago, you'd ask a 20, 25-year-old who president was, they probably couldn't tell you.
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah, but there are more and more. I'm not saying all of them, and and I'm not saying if they're in college or not. It just seems that like there's more aware, because so much has been being talked about openly about what's going on, that now the kids are going, what? You know, they're kind of listening, maybe their parents or whatever. And so they're a little more aware of what's going on. So
Well,
that's a good
a lot of thanks that go out to people like Charlie Kirk that has been pounding away at these college campuses day in and day out.
Yeah, he does.
I mean, this is really bad because we really have not had any representation at all these colleges. I mean, I remember when I went to college, the professor that we had, generally the male one usually made more impression. They seemed like they were intelligent, of course, but they taught things kind of like on the cuff. In other words, it was a relaxed situation. We could, those of us that smoke cigarettes could still smoke in the room. You could eat a sandwich or something like that. They didn't really bother, but they were more interested in being your buddy than they were interested in developing your minds. Nowadays, they're all pretty much indoctrinated under Marxism, and they push the Marxists on you, and they tell you, well, this is because
hopefully that's going to change. I think that's one of the key things that's going to change. Anyway, this is the top of the hour of our 30 minutes here. I'm going to try to see if we can plan on maybe doing this on Sundays, because a lot of everybody else is not doing things on Sundays. So maybe we'll just throw up 30 minutes and we'll just be kind of like a rant, Sunday rant in the afternoon.
How is it looking as far as the viewers from your end?
Well, nobody knew I was going to be doing this, so
but I'm just curious whether anybody spotted us.
But once we get it going, it'll probably pick up, and then of course once my studio's done, I won't be sitting in the front of my RV doing this, But we're trying to get everything ready. So you guys, if you're watching right now, we're going to try to do this every Sunday. Probably around 2:30, 3 o'clock, maybe about 3 o'clock. We'll probably say that would be Central Time, and Eastern Time that would be what 2 hours difference, 1 hour. What time is it over there with you, John?
All right, right now for me it's 6:20.
So it's 6:20. So it must be 5:20 Eastern Time. So okay, so that would be about the time range. Anyway. Make sure you check out John's channel, American Brazil. And if you see the number here on this screen, that if you type that in exactly that way, you'll find his channel. Sometimes it's a little tough finding it under just American in Brazil. But put it just like you see it on the screen here, and YouTube will take you right to his channel. Anyway, we got to get out of here. I'm already 2 minutes past the 30-minute mark. Thank you guys for checking it out. And of course, those that might watch it later on in the week. All right. See you later, guys. Talk to you later.
Peace. Bye-bye.